Automation Nation, glad to have you. The short answer to whether you need to pay off your mortgage first or prioritize investing is that you need to invest 99% of the time. But if it was that simple, you probably wouldn't click on this video. So here I'm gonna break it down in detail, all the hows and whys around this question. First, let's talk about what a mortgage actually is. When you take out a mortgage, you are borrowing money from the bank to buy a house. You borrow a certain amount of money, let's say $500,000, and agree to pay it back over a long time, typically over 30 years. During this time, you also pay interest, let's say 7% in this example, which is the price you pay to borrow the money in the first place. Here's an example. If you borrow $500,000 at a 7% interest rate over 30 years, your first payment is going to be $3,336. Now, here's where things get interesting. When you make your first payment, most of that money, shockingly, actually goes to pay interest, not the actual loan itself, which we call the principal. In your first month, in fact, you'll pay $2,917 in interest. This is calculated based off the total amount that you're borrowing. The remaining part of your payment, in this case $410 roughly, goes towards reducing the actual amount of money that you owe on the loan. A mortgage follows what's called an amortization schedule, which is a table that breaks down each monthly payment on the loan. This is actually how mortgages work. The banks want to get paid first. So they said they front load all of the interest payments. But by doing so, you don't really make much of a dent until about 15 to 20 years in on the loan, depending on your specific amortization schedule. This becomes annoying and some might say borderline criminal because you can be spinning your wheels for years, making the bank rich while you barely make a dent in paying off your home. Again, in this example, your $3,000 plus payment and only $400 of it gets put on a loan. Some might say that doesn't sound like a 7% loan to me, and you might be right. It's overwhelming, at least in this example, that in the first 20 years out of a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, your interest payments will exceed the amount you pay on the principal. This means that over a 30-year period, for a $500,000 loan at 7% interest, you'll pay $1,197,544 in total. This includes $697,544 just in interest alone. That's why some say that a mortgage allows you to buy a house for yourself and one for the bank. And you can see why that's the case. Now, if you want to play with some numbers yourself and check out your own loan numbers, I left a link to the calculator we used for this video down in the description in case you want to check that out. Now, seeing these scary numbers might lead you to believe that you should do everything in your power to pay extra on this mortgage so that you can shave off as much interest as possible. But hang on for a minute. Let's compare this scenario with investing the difference. In most cases, it's actually better to invest your money rather than paying your mortgage off early. Why? Because there's another variable that we have not accounted for, and that is inflation. Because your mortgage is usually fixed, and due to inflation, the dollars that you're using to pay for that are actually worth less than they are today. So by applying an extra $500 a month towards your mortgage, you indeed reduce the principal and save on total interest. However, the total savings in interest from the reduced balance might not be as significant as you might think, especially considering that you won't see that money until the mortgage is actually paid off. Let's calculate how much we'll save with the extra money that we're going to put towards this loan. Remember, our example is a $500,000 mortgage at a 7% interest rate. Let's see what happens if we put $500 every month towards the principal over a 30-year period. You can see in the graph here, the extra monthly payment reduces your loan principal more quickly, which means you'll pay less total interest over the life of the mortgage. The extra $500 payment could allow you to pay off the mortgage approximately 9 years and 5 months earlier. This results in $252,536 in interest savings. Now, we got to do the other calculation. Let's see what happens if we put the $500 a month into, let's just call it an index fund, giving us an annual rate of return of about 8%, which again is a lot lower than the typical 9 to 10, 11% that they return over long periods of time. Again, and this 8% return is only 1% higher than the mortgage interest rate that we have on the loan. So in this example, in 30 years, you'll have $713,837 of liquid cash in an investment account. $533,338 of that is from compound interest alone. So again, the first example, we saved $252,000 of interest and change. And in this investing example, we earn an additional $533,000. Which one would you want? Instead of putting extra money towards the mortgage where you won't really see a return until after the mortgage is paid off, investing not only allows your money to grow more, but you have access to that capital along the way also. And again, in the investing example, we just showed the growth. We didn't even mention the contributions, which are another $180,000 extra of money that you have access to along the way. Comparing that to the early paydown scenario, basically locking $500 a month away, not to see it again until the mortgage is fully paid off. Unless, of course, you want to refinance the house. That leads me to another important reason to invest. Liquidity, which just means having cash available to you when you need it. If you lose your job or want to start a new business, you'll probably need access to cash. Investments can allow you that access and even give you the opportunity to borrow from it if you need to. Imagine if you have $50,000 in investments. If an emergency arises, you can sell some of those investments or even borrow from them if you need to. Alternatively, you can take a loan against your investment portfolio, often at a lower interest rate compared to other loans. Depending on the institution you choose, the rate could be comparable to something like a home equity line of credit. But when you're borrowing from your own investment portfolio, there's no credit check, which can be nice. Although there certainly are risks to borrowing from your investment portfolio on margin, and there are also risks from taking out a home equity line of credit. So keep those things in mind. Again, if all of your money is tied up in your home, the only way to access that is through refinancing, so a home equity loan or home equity line of credit. There are other strategies too, like getting a home equity line of credit to help you pay off your home faster. I'm not saying it's the best idea because it can turn your home into a giant credit card where you keep taking money out, but it is an option. A deeper dive is certainly required for this concept, so let me know in the comments if you'd like me to take the time and make a video about that strategy. And just a quick note, a home equity line of credit or a HELOC is basically using your home as collateral for a loan so you get a better interest rate. One of the nice things about a home equity line of credit is that interest is calculated on an average daily balance. So in essence, it almost works like a debt snowball in one product, to where if you're borrowing $100,000 and you make a payment, now you've got maybe, $99,000 as an example left. And so they're charging interest every day. So you can make a lot more headway and pay that down sooner because more of your money ultimately goes towards the principal, unlike these amortized loans. And again, a home equity line of credit can be great for like renovations, or if you want to, buy a rental property, you can use some of your home equity as a down payment, possibly. Again, pros and cons with all of this. You want to be wary of treating your entire home like a giant credit card, because if you keep borrowing from your home, you might end up with more debt than when you started with. And depending on the loan and the payment structure, oftentimes what's required is 1% of the outstanding balance from a monthly payment standpoint. So if you've got $100,000, you might need to have a minimum payment of $1,000. I had a client recently that got one that had a 1.5% payment, so $1,500 to borrow $100,000. So just keeping those things in mind is really important. Some people think they need to pay off their mortgage as quickly as possible, especially with these higher interest rates. And in some cases, it can be a good option to consider, but with inflation being what it is, with the wages being low, probably not the best strategy. People often think that paying off their home is going to give them a lot of peace of mind. While it does give peace of mind, it does tie up a lot of cash that could be used for other things. I'm certainly not against putting a little bit extra on your mortgage to get ahead, to pay it off, to make a dent, but I wouldn't say putting all of your free cash towards this would be the best idea. Now, you might hear different advice from someone like Dave Ramsey, who's really popular for saying pay off all your debt all the time, like car loans, student loans, obviously not having credit cards ever. And he suggests taking out a 15-year mortgage instead of a 30-year one. This can save you a lot of money in interest. However, the downside is the higher payment. In today's economy with, again, inflation, rising costs, etc., a 15-year mortgage is probably not feasible for most people. So let's use our $500,000 example again here. If you were to do a 15-year mortgage, the payment would actually be $4,494.14 compared to $33.26 a month, which is a difference of $1,167.63. Now, like me, you might be thinking, what if you took that 30-year mortgage and invested the $1,167 even for just 15 years? Well, I'm glad you asked. You would actually have $394,199. Now, you might also be wondering, well, what's left on the 30-year mortgage after 15 years of payments? Got you. That answer is $370,094.33. So we can see that even at a super reasonable rate of return, such as 8%, we could pay the loan off faster by just investing the difference on a 30-year loan instead of a 15-year loan, while having increased flexibility throughout the entire time, whether it's for job loss or other unforeseen circumstances or investment opportunities. So here's my take on all of this. I like to think about zooming out and looking at our overall cash flow. And so instead of saying, I've got $500 extra, let's use $1,000 as an easy number. If we were to look at an investment portfolio, people typically think of like an 80-20, 60-40 portfolio where 80% of the portfolio is stocks, 20% is bonds. And so I like to extrapolate this concept to something like this, where if I'm looking at all of where I'm investing my money, again, let's say $1,000 a month, maybe I'm putting $800 a month into an S&P 500 fund or similar. Again, I like the Vanguard Total Stock Fund myself, but maybe you put the 20% into your mortgage payment, thinking of it as a fixed asset class, where you are going to get a guaranteed rate of return compared to the S&P 500 in this example. So again, I think a combination approach here could be great. I don't love the idea of putting all of your eggs in one basket, especially if it's paying down the mortgage. So I hope this video is helpful, gave you more clarity on a very confusing and heady topic. Now, if you are looking to make this financial planning journey a breeze for you, watch my video on how I automate my finances and that of all my clients to never worry about mortgage or investing again. Thanks for watching.